Hi, I'm May, and I'm in rehab right now. All because of my dad's crazy plans to make me a superstar. I've been making music and singing since I was a kid. I was surrounded by good teachers who I practiced with every day. I loved it. I dreamed of singing on stage like my mom Anthea used to sing back in the day. She was a bright star. Diplomas and awards hung on all the walls of our house. But the moment came, and she couldn't take the pressure, left show business, and then out of my life altogether. As my father explained, she had to improve her health. But I could realize how difficult it was for her only when I sang on the big stage myself. My dad had a friend, a rapper named Diego, who took on my promotion. But I thought that I was enslaved. I had to perform even when I was hungry and sick. Nobody asked me how I was doing. It was just a contract that had to be honored. Until I broke down. I was so exhausted I passed out. Dad put me in rehab and gave me time to recover. And then it was back to the stage. It turned out that I had to pay my father's debts because my mother had let him down and ruined him. And he is not my own father at all. See the beginning of this story at the link in the description of the video and subscribe to the channel. Hear only unique stories, and I will continue. It's really hard for me right now. I want to go on stage very much. But I won't be a slave. I even found a lawyer who agreed to protect my interests and forced my father to change the terms of the contract with me. A meeting was scheduled for today. My father, the lawyer, and me. Of course, I was worried. My father had connections, opportunities, and experience in this business, and a crazy desire to make millions off of me. And I was just a girl with a beautiful voice. After studying the contract, the lawyer thoughtfully rubbed his forehead and, secluded in a room with me, scribbled something in a notebook.
This amount of money is needed to start a case, and the case is not easy. And this sum of money,
he pointed with his eyes at the number with 5 zeros.
I will need to get the judge on my side. Do you have this kind of money?
I didn't say a word. Placing the business card in front of me, the lawyer walked out.
May, your fans have missed you. I hope you'll be back on stage in 2 weeks.
Dad couldn't hide his glee. He knew he had me in his hands.
And we will organize your triumphant return. Now get some rest.
His footsteps faded into the hallway, and I felt trapped. Knowing that my mom was also under my father's full control, somewhere in the hospital, I couldn't openly confront him. But what do I do?
Get off of me! Get your hands off me!
A loud voice shook me out of my daze. I opened the door, and a guy came at me. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw 2 orderlies rushing down the hall. "Shut up!" I whispered in the guy's ear. "Otherwise, they'll put you on sedatives and you'll be like a vegetable." The guy looked at me in surprise, but kept quiet. I nodded to the orderlies, saying everything was fine, and pulled the guy into the garden. "Behave yourself! It's better to be friends with them." "Who are you?" "Your face! I know your face!" I lowered my head. Of course, up until a couple weeks ago, I was a sensation. My songs were getting huge views on YouTube. Concert tickets were selling out in a matter of hours. But now it was painful to remember that. "You came at me. So you go first and tell me, how did you end up here?" Eric was brought here by his parents. According to the kid, they'd been in constant conflict lately. He was friends with some kids his mom didn't like. They liked it to hang out late and bring him drinks. I don't care for alcoholic drinks myself. It's interesting to hang out with the guys. They have their own rock band, and they took me on as a drummer. My parents supported me at first. They even organized a mini studio in the garage so that I could play. But after rehearsals, the guy liked to hang out till the morning, had loud parties. And last week, my parents ran out of patience. When my mom looked in the garage in the morning and saw the mountains of empty beer cans, my sleeping friends, she made a scene. She was afraid I was addicted to alcohol, even though I don't drink at all. They put a huge lock on the garage and brought me here. Eric looked at me questioningly, saying, "I've revealed everything. Now it's your turn." But then a nurse ran up to us and saved me from the revelation. May! You're going to see a psychologist! Let's go! I nodded to Eric and ran. Talking to the psychologist wasn't easy. We talked every other day, and the therapy really worked. But afterward, I spent a lot of time in my room. I told the psychologist about my fears of my father. It made me feel better, and it was the same this time. When you discuss the problems with a specialist, everything appears in a different light and doesn't look so terrible. I know who you are. May. You're the same May who blew up on YouTube. The girl with the sad face and the angelic voice. Unbelievable! The guys and I have been trying to learn your songs. Eric is standing on the doorstep of my room. Didn't they teach you to knock? I rebuked him, but he only smiled back. Sitting down beside me on the bed, Eric chattered away. And how he first heard my tracks. And how he watched one of my concerts on YouTube because he couldn't make it live. I'm in a rehab with a celebrity. That's awesome! But when Eric saw the tears in my eyes, he got cold feet. I'm sorry. You're here for a reason. I got a little carried away. A couple minutes later, we were walking down a moonlight alley. I didn't want to tell Eric anything in the room. And the walls have ears. He was silent for a long time after what we'd heard. We reached the lake. I often walked here alone. The area of the rehab was huge, and it was a place of solitude. So, in a couple of weeks, I'll have to go back to the stage and sing and smile. I'm contracted to work for my father for a year. He'll get his money back and leave me alone. I hope so. My voice trembled. Eric suddenly leaned over and put his arms around me, and I sobbed. I don't know how long it lasted, but Eric waited patiently for me to calm down, and I felt so good in his arms. Oh, thank you. And I'm sorry for dumping it all on you. But Eric wouldn't let me go. So we walked back in silence, hugging each other. It was late when we walked back into the building. The hallways were empty. Our rooms were on the same floor. We tiptoed around the corner, but then I heard soft laughter. A woman's laughter. And a hushed whisper. Down the hall was the psychologist's office. But Miss Randall, the psychologist who was interviewing me, never worked this late. I was a warning sign to Eric with my finger and pointed to the half door to Miss Randall's office. We walked right up to the door, and we heard voices. She's afraid of you. She realizes she's trapped. But I'm convincing her that you only want the best for her.
Keep it up. She has to listen to me and be grateful for everything.
Next, Miss Randall giggled strangely, and I heard the sound of a kiss. Abruptly opening the door to the psychologist's office, I coldly threw it at the man's back. Hello, Daddy. Oh yeah, standing in front of me was the father who just a moment ago was hugging and kissing Miss Randall. You'd do anything to have complete control over me, even an affair with a psychologist. She leaks information about me to you, don't you? What did you promise her in return, huh?
Don't be rude, May. It's worse for you.
And that's when he changed his face. Eric stepped forward. He grabbed my hand tightly and looked at my father defiantly. Hello, Mr. Lin. My heart dropped. You two know each other?
Eric! Didn't expect you to see here. How's Mom? And Dad? Haven't seen him in ages.
Now you'll see each other, and very soon. He'll be defending May's interests, and I'm sure he'll win the case. It's a good thing Eric had a firm grip on my hand. I was one step away from fainting. My head was buzzing with thoughts. Who is Eric? How does he know my dad? And who is Eric's dad? Dad hummed meaningfully and quickly walked out of the office. Miss Randall ran after him, and Eric held me to his chest and whispered, Don't be scared. You're not alone now. My dad's the best lawyer in the state. Unfair contracts between producers and their clients are his specialty, and they have a history with your father. I'm gonna make sure your case is won. My case was tried in court behind closed doors. I had to wait for 6 months. But now, I'm free. My contract's been canceled. I got to see my mom. She's in a locked facility, but she's fine, as far as I can tell. And I'm rehearsing in Eric's garage. He reconciled with his parents, got a new band together, and we're organizing our first gig soon. I'm so happy! I hope you saw the rest of the story. It teaches you not to lose heart, not to give up, but to stand your ground no matter how hard it is. And I wish you to always be brave and determined.